The film opens with a young girl sitting peacefully, watching cartoons on television. Without warning, the screen goes dark. Moments later, an emergency broadcast interrupts the program, revealing horrifying news. A deadly virus has spread across the globe. This wasn't an ordinary illness, but a terrifying infection capable of turning humans into savage, bloodthirsty creatures within minutes. Scientists had already warned that the virus would spread worldwide at an alarming speed, urging everyone to protect themselves. We soon see that the children's mother is overwhelmed with fear. She nervously speaks on the phone with her husband, a pilot, who tells her the situation has completely collapsed. The infected, now known as ferals, are spreading everywhere. These creatures resemble zombies, but they're far more dangerous, faster, stronger, and still capable of thinking. Entire cities and regions have already fallen under their control, and the area where the family is currently trapped is among the most dangerous. The pilot urgently warns his wife, telling her that she must escape immediately. Before ending the call, he tries to comfort his daughter, Abigail, by showing her the bracelet she made for him. He promises to keep it with him at all times and assures her that he will reunite with them soon. The family rushes outside, desperate to survive, but the scene beyond their home is pure chaos. Sirens scream through the streets. People cry out in terror, and ferals swarm everywhere. As they race toward their car, disaster strikes. A feral suddenly attacks their mother. Within seconds, she transforms before Abigail's eyes. Terrified, Abigail hides beneath the car. From her hiding place, she witnesses the same feral attacking and infecting her brother as well. Heartbroken, Abigail stays silent, knowing that even the slightest sound could expose her. The creature eventually moves on, unaware of her presence, and Abigail believes she has escaped death. But her nightmare isn't over. Her own mother, now fully transformed into a feral, spots Abigail and charges toward her. A gunshot echoes through chaos. Abigail watches as her mother collapses to the ground. A man has intervened and saved her. That man is Cassius. He gently pulls Abigail from beneath the car, holding her close and trying to comfort her. As he does, he notices her eyes fixed on a small figure nearby, her brother, who is now turning into a feral. Cassius softly tells Abigail to cover her ears. Without hesitation, he shoots the boy, ending his suffering. In just a few minutes, Abigail's entire world is destroyed. Her whole family is gone. From that moment on, Cassius becomes her only family, her guardian, her teacher, and her protector. The story then jumps ahead 10 years. The world is unrecognizable. Silence dominates the land. Most humans are either dead or have become ferals. Cities are lost, so Cassius and Abigail survive deep in the woods. Abigail is no longer the frightened child she once was. Through years of intense training, she has become a skilled warrior, taught by Cassius to hunt, fight, and stay alive. One day, while training in the forest, they spot a lone survivor attempting to flee from a group of ferals. Cassius tells Abigail that this is her test. He hands her his sniper rifle and orders her to save the man by eliminating the ferals. Abigail takes position and prepares to shoot. Cassius calmly instructs her to relax. Take a deep breath, focus on the target, and pull the trigger. Eager to prove herself, Abigail follows his instructions. However, in her rush, she focuses only on the target and fails to notice the human nearby. She fires. The bullet strikes the survivor instead of the feral. It's a devastating mistake. In a world where humans have become incredibly rare, Abigail had just taken the life of another human being. Cassius is furious. He harshly scolds her, then moves in himself to finish the job by eliminating the surrounding ferals. Knowing that the dead man would soon rise again as one of them, Cassius doesn't hesitate. Before that can happen, he decapitates the body. Afterward, he searches through the man's car, collecting his belongings. He even swaps shoes, since his own are completely worn out. Just as they are about to leave, a group of vehicles suddenly surrounds them. Inside are heavily armed human survivors. They notice Cassius wearing their friend's shoes and immediately assume the worst, that Cassius murdered him to steal his belongings. The gunshot wound makes it clear the man was killed by a human, not a feral. Enraged, the survivors raise their weapons and aim at Cassius. Tensions reach a breaking point, until a pregnant woman named Megan steps out of one of the vehicles. She desperately tries to calm everyone down, begging them to stop. She reminds them that Cassius and Abigail, like them, are among the last remaining humans in the world and deserve mercy. Before anyone can decide what to do, another catastrophe unfolds. The noise from the confrontation attracts a massive horde of ferals. They come charging in from every direction, fast, relentless, and unstoppable. There are simply too many of them, leaving no time to escape by vehicle. With no other choice, the survivors take cover and fight back using their weapons. A brutal battle erupts. Despite being well-armed, the survivors quickly begin to lose as their ammunition runs low. The ferals show no signs of slowing down. One by one, people are attacked, bitten, and transformed into monsters themselves. In the end, only Cassius, Abigail, Megan, and her husband David remain alive. While the ferals are busy infecting the others, the Force sees their chance. They jump into a car and manage to escape. Behind them, the newly transformed ferals gather, revealing their leader, now fully turned and consumed by rage. Furious over the loss of his group, he blames Cassius for everything and vows revenge. Using Cassius's scent, he begins hunting them down, chasing the car relentlessly. However, Cassius has already put significant distance between them. As they drive, Cassius asks where they're headed. Megan and David tell him about the colony, also known as Boat Town, a massive floating settlement built from large ships hidden away from the ferals. It's a place where the last human survivors live together, complete with doctors and essential facilities. Hearing this, Abigail's eyes fill with hope. For years, she has dreamed of living among other humans again. Cassius, however, is skeptical. After wandering the world for so long, he finds it hard to believe such a place could exist. He admits that in all his years of survival, he has never seen a community like the one they describe. Megan explains that they've crossed paths with people from that community several times before. After hearing this, Cassius finally agrees, though he makes it clear he has no intention of living there. In his mind, being surrounded by large groups of people only invites more danger. Abigail, however, refuses to back down. She insists they go at least once, if nothing else, to safely escort Megan and David, especially given Megan's condition. Cassius's face shows his reluctance, but he eventually gives in. Not long after, their car suddenly breaks down. David, who's a mechanic, tries everything to fix it, but without proper tools, he fails. With no other option, they're forced to continue on foot. As they walk, Abigail recognizes the area they've entered. Nearby is an old airfield where her father once worked. She suggests heading there, hoping they might find a plane to make the journey easier. Cassius initially dismisses the idea, believing no aircraft could possibly fly after sitting untouched for 10 years. Still, Abigail insists, and in the end, he agrees. When they reach the airfield, they discover something unsettling. Not a single plane is on the runway. Just when hope seems lost, they find a small aircraft hidden inside a garage. It's old and worn, but David believes he can repair it. While he works on the plane, Cassius and Abigail keep watch. Suddenly, they spot a massive group of ferals approaching in the distance. At the speed they're moving, they'll reach the airfield within minutes. Panic sets in. They rush David to hurry. Abigail climbs into the pilot's seat, recalling everything her father taught her when she was a child. She grabs a manual and starts reviewing controls just as the ferals crash through the fence. David and Megan get inside the plane, and after a tense struggle, Abigail manages to start the engine. The aircraft races down the runway. Even so, the ferals are terrifyingly fast, slamming into the wings as they chase the moving plane. At one point, Cassius is half inside and half outside the aircraft when a feral grabs him, trying to drag him away. Cassius reacts instantly, shooting the creature in the head and knocking it off. Moments later, the plane lifts into the air. Relief washes over them as they watch the ground fall away beneath them. For the first time, they believe the long journey might finally be over in just a few hours. But their happiness doesn't last. About an hour into flight, smoke begins pouring from the engine. The aircraft, neglected for a decade, can't hold up. Soon, the engine fails completely, and the plane spirals out of control. Cassius rushes to Abigail's side and grabs the controls. Working together, they crash the plane into a tree, carefully minimizing the impact. The plan works. Everyone survives with only minor injuries. More importantly, they've already covered most of the distance they needed to travel. Now, only 2 days of walking remain. That night, they take shelter inside a series of abandoned buildings. The area appears clear of ferals, but Cassius still sets traps around the perimeter. Later, Megan approaches him and thanks him, saying that without him, they would all be dead. Her words soften Cassius, a man who rarely shows emotion. Looking at Megan, Cassius is reminded of his past. He admits that he was forced to kill his own wife after she became infected, because there was no other way to survive. From that moment on, he swore never to fight for anyone again, only for himself. That all changed when he found Abigail. He took her in, raised her as his own daughter, and made her his reason to keep going. He explains that his mission now is to protect Abigail above all else. Still, he promises Megan and David that he will get them safely to their destination. The next day, they resume their journey. Along the way, they encounter something unbelievable: a beautiful farmhouse surrounded by trees, with clean surroundings and even electricity. Shocked, they cautiously approach. Suddenly, a voice booms from a speaker, ordering them to drop their weapons. They comply, leaving their weapons behind and entering the farmhouse. Inside, they meet the owner, a scientist. He's thrilled to see other survivors and prepares a lavish meal for them. As they eat, emotions overwhelm them. It's the first real meal they've had in 10 years, and many of them break down in tears. After dinner, they sit and talk. In a chilling turn, the scientist calmly explains that he doesn't believe the virus is a curse, but an evolution of humanity. According to him, the virus eliminated the weak and transformed the strong into ferals, who deserve to inherit the world. He believes the remaining humans are inferior and should die. As he speaks, everyone begins to feel dizzy. That's when they realize the truth. The scientist has drugged their drinks with a sedative. His kindness was a trap all along. When they wake up, they find themselves tied up. The scientist then reveals his true intentions, claiming he exists only to fight zombies and conduct experiments. He admits he's been capturing subjects for his research, and that this was only the beginning. The scientist had also kept his own wife imprisoned there, now fully transformed into a zombie. Worse still, he had created a device that allowed him to control not just her, but all ferals. He openly declares his twisted goal. He wants every remaining human to die and turn into a feral, so he alone can control them and rule the world. With that, he releases his zombie wife and uses a device to command her to attack the group. Panic erupts as she lunges toward Cassius. He kicks her with full force, sending her flying backward. At the same time, David strains against his restraints and snaps the ropes holding him. That's when a shocking truth is revealed. David has been slowly becoming infected. He had thought about ending his life more than once, but chose instead to first get his wife to safety in the colony. He had already decided that if the infection took over during the journey, he would end his own life. No one knew his secret. Until now, empowered by the virus coursing through his body, David launches himself into the fight. Together, they manage to kill the zombie. Terrified, the scientist flees. Seizing the moment, the group grabs their weapons and supplies and escapes in the scientist's truck. But the danger isn't over. The scientist refuses to let them go. Using his device, he unleashes a massive horde of ferals and sends them after the vehicle. Soon, the road ahead is blocked. With no other choice, they abandon the truck and run as ferals swarm from behind. At that moment, David realizes his infection has reached its final stage. The veins across his stomach darken, and his strength begins to fail. He stops, turns to Megan, and says a final goodbye. Megan refuses to leave him, but David gently tells her he's doing this for their unborn child. With that, he sends Megan away with Cassius and Abigail, then turns back to face the approaching ferals alone. His sacrifice works. The ferals are slowed, giving the others time to escape. They reach the riverbank, where they finally see their destination. The colony Megan spoke of is built underwater. Abigail runs ahead to call for help. The guards spot them and immediately provide cover fire, attacking the ferals from a distance. A boat is dispatched to bring them inside the colony, and at last, they are safe. It's revealed that ferals are unable to go underwater, making the colony a perfect refuge. Inside, the colony is shown to be a marvel. Massive ships join together to form an entire underwater city. Abigail is overwhelmed with joy, seeing so many humans after years of isolation. Megan, whose condition has worsened, is rushed to medical care. She gives birth to a baby girl. Tragically, the doctors reveal that Megan doesn't have much time left. She's suffering from severe blood loss, and no one in the colony has compatible blood to save her. That night, the colony holds a celebration to welcome the newcomers. Abigail, who has been cut off from human life for so long, enjoys every moment. But Cassius grows uneasy. He warns Abigail that they must leave as soon as possible. Abigail refuses. This sparks a heated argument between them. While wandering through the colony, Abigail stumbles upon a hidden room filled with explosives and a massive remote control hanging on the wall. Before she can touch it, a young boy stops her and explains the truth. This is the colony's last resort plan. If Pharaohs ever breach the defenses, everyone will escape through underground tunnels and then detonate the explosives, destroying the entire colony along with the invading Pharaohs. The boy shares this information casually, unaware that it may be needed immediately, because at that very moment, the mad scientist is already approaching, leading a massive army of Pharaohs straight toward the colony, using his control device. The scientist had also allied himself with Alpha Pharaoh, the same creature who once led the first survivor group they encountered. Alpha wanted revenge on Cassius for the destruction of his people. Once the scientist gained control over Alpha, every Pharaoh fell under his command. When Alpha fearlessly leapt into the water, the impossible happened. The other Pharaohs followed. Their fear of water vanished, and they swam straight toward the underwater colony. Alarms screamed throughout the settlement as chaos erupted. Sensing the invasion, humans ran desperately toward the hidden escape tunnels. Panic spread as Pharaohs broke into the colony and began attacking people. In the midst of the chaos, Cassius searched frantically for Abigail and finally found her. But they soon realized they were dangerously far from the escape route. During the fight, Cassius came face to face with the scientist, who bragged that his invention had made him a god. Enraged, Cassius attacked him. He slammed the control device against the wall again and again until it shattered completely. With the signal gone, the Pharaohs turned wild and uncontrollable. Cassius barely escaped with his life. As he pushed forward, Cassius discovered that Megan had died, but her newborn daughter was still alive. With her final strength, Megan had left Cassius one last request. Just as he had raised and trained Abigail, he must now do the same for her child. Meanwhile, all the survivors had made it through the tunnel to safety. The remote detonator was now in the hands of the young boy who had befriended Abigail. Noticing that Abigail and Cassius hadn't exited yet, he waited, refusing to trigger the explosion until they were clear. Abigail continued fighting off the Pharaohs, but suddenly froze when an alpha zombie stepped in front of her. Her heart stopped when she noticed the bracelet on his wrist, the very one she had made as a child and given to her father. In that horrifying moment, she realized the truth. The Alpha Pharaoh was her father. Paralyzed with shock, Abigail hesitated as the creature lunged toward her. Just in time, Cassius intervened, snapping her back to reality. She wanted to protect him, but the choice in front of her was unbearable. Then it became clear to her. The man in front of her was no longer her father. Cassius was her true family. With tears in her eyes, Abigail pulled the trigger, shooting the Alpha Pharaoh and saving Cassius. The moment shattered her. She went into shock, but Cassius didn't hesitate. He grabbed Abigail and rushed toward the escape tunnel. The instant they emerged, the boy pressed the detonator. Within seconds, the colony erupted in flames. The entire structure collapsed, destroying every Pharaoh trapped inside. On the other side of the river, the survivors watched as the fire faded. In the distance, they saw a small island, untouched and full of promise. It became a symbol of hope. Together, they decided to build a new colony there. By then, Cassius had finally changed. After seeing others risk their lives to save him, he realized that people were not a weakness, but a strength. He chose to stay with them, taking Abigail and the newborn girl under his protection. They set off toward the island that would become their new home, a place they swore would remain forever beyond the reach of zombies and Pharaohs.